Continuing coverage now on this Fox News alert. A big question on everyone's mind in the wake of yesterday's plane crash. What is the U.S. going to do about it? Army Captain Pete Hegseth served in Iraq and Afghanistan. He says, let's start by ending the cuts to our military. Those cuts, Pete, very much underway right now.
Underway as we speak. Not only are pink slips being sent to captains in Afghanistan, which is news we saw recently because we're making deep personnel cuts, but even the overall force structure of our military today. We will soon have the smallest army since World War II. We will soon have the smallest Navy since World War I, and more pertinent to this discussion, the smallest Air Force tactical portion of our Air Force in the history of the Air Force. So what we see right now is a chaotic world. You've got Putin and separatists in Ukraine. You've got the Gaza Strip. You've got, let's not forget to mention, Islamists establishing a caliphate in Iraq and Syria. So whether it's the Air Force, the Navy, or the Army, we're going to need the capabilities in a dangerous and chaotic world to hold the line. And right now, this president is abdicating that responsibility. I
mentioned, Pete, that you served in Iraq and Afghanistan. You know what the national mood has been after those wars. A lot of people feel like, you know, they're tired of it. They want the military to come home. They want our troops to come home safe and sound, but they don't necessarily feel like we need to be intervening in the affairs of other countries. Is this what happens when there is perceived weakness on the part of the United States?
Weakness is dangerous. That is the bottom line in this equation. And people might be weary. That's fine. They may want to quit on these conflicts. The problem is our adversaries aren't quitting on us. Islamists are on the march. Putin is empowered. So we can all say this is just a tragedy. It's got nothing to do with us. It's so unfortunate to watch these events, but we're going to sit in Fortress America. We can't afford to do that. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. And if we gut our military and step back from our role in the world, try to lead from behind, dangerous people with different ideologies will march. We've seen that under this administration, and unfortunately, we will continue to see it if our leaders don't find a backbone and stop faking and pretending that we live in a tranquil world of the global community, as the president's spokesman said. That is a joke. We live in a dangerous world.
I want to play for very quickly something that one of the leading defense experts in the Senate, John McCain, had to say. Here's his take.
We must react in a stringent fashion because Vladimir Putin has clearly been fomenting this situation in eastern Ukraine, even recently sending in additional troops and additional equipment for the, quote, separatists.
All right, react in the strongest fashion. What would that be, Pete?
Well, you could first of all send troops to align NATO countries in the eastern part of Europe to bolster and demonstrate the support we have for NATO and former satellite the Soviet Union like Ukraine. You could reinstitute some of the missile defense systems that we've pulled out of Eastern Europe in those areas as we've cut deals, stronger sanctions that actually do put pressure on financial institutions or defense institutions in Russia, and even just the willingness to stand up like the Gipper would, like Ronald Reagan would, and call out an evil empire and tell it like it is. This president's unwilling to do that.
We heard that soundbite from Ronald Reagan earlier in the hour, addressing the shoot-down of Korean Airlines Flight 007 that the old Soviet Union pulled off. Pete Hegseth, Concerned Veterans for America. Pete, thank you.
You got it. Thanks, John.